I walked down the damp sidewalk along the seemingly uninhabited road. The dark umbrella I carried shielded me from the small raindrops that shot down at the ground. I hurried through the raging storm until I got to a small shop on the corner of the street. I then closed my umbrella and hurried into the little shop. My allergies immediately started acting up due to the massive amount of dust that had settled on the shelves holding dozens of books. I sneezed and shook my head as if shaking the feeling off. I started looking through the books on the shelves to find one that I could read at home as the storm raged on. I slipped out a book simply titled, Don't. It was a dark gray-blue color, and it looked like it was very old. I noticed that it didn't give a description on the back or gave the name of the author. It only said, Don't. I shrugged it off and walked over to the old woman in charge of the little shop. She looked as if she had no emotion. She only looked up at me, down to the book, and back towards the corner of the room, making me turn around to see what she was looking at. Oddly enough, there was nothing. "That's a very frightening one," she muttered in her old, raspy voice, still looking at the empty corner. "Have you read it before?" I asked her curiously. Her eyes widened and she looked up at me. Her lips were pursed together and she looked rather stern. "It's a good one," she said, staring back into the corner of the room. But the look on her face had stayed. "Okay, how much?" I asked, referring to the price. "No price. It's yours," she said quickly. "Ma'am, are you sure? I would feel really bad if I..." "Take it," she said, looking up at me again. I could see a tint of fear in her eyes. But once again, I shook it off. "Well, thanks. Thank you very much," I said before exiting the shop. I could have sworn that I heard the little old lady say, "Sorry." But I ignored it. As soon as I walked outside, my sinuses immediately cleared up, and I opened up my umbrella with the book in my other hand. I walked all the way home and got dressed into comfy sweats as I wrapped myself up in a blanket on the couch. I opened up the book and started to read. "Don't read, please, please don't read. For your own sake, do not read. Don't read, please, please don't read. For your own sake, do not read." That was all on the first page. I flipped to the second page to see that there was more text. Oddly, the text seemed to be written by hand instead of typed on a computer. Well, it does add to the creepy factor, right? October 24th, 2000. It's been following me, watching, observing. It won't leave me alone. No matter where I go, it's always there, staring right back at me. It's dark, it's dead, it's evil, it never stops. I don't know how much longer I have. It only started today, and I can already feel myself starting to go insane. Little by little, by little, by little, by little. That was the only thing that was on the second page. I was a bit confused, but also intrigued. The date showed exactly 15 years ago. It was quite the coincidence, really. I flipped through the rest of the pages quickly, seeing that they all had about one paragraph on each page. I continued to read the pages. They all seemed to be like journal entries. The first dozen seemed to be written by the same person, due to the same writing style and the knowledge that the story held. After about 20 pages, each entered the day after the last one. It seemed as though a new author started writing about the same thing, but lacking the knowledge that the previous author had had about the thing that he or she was talking about. Also having different handwriting and a different writing utensil. October 24th, 2001. It just won't leave. It doesn't matter what I do. I just want him to leave me alone. What is happening? I want to scream and cry, but I just can't. The dark thing is everywhere. What do I have to do to get it to leave me alone? It's driving me crazy. That was the second author's first entry, exactly 1 year after the first author's initial entry. That was certainly odd. After reading about 100 pages, the author had changed 5 times, switching after exactly 20 pages. Each entered a day after the other. Every author's first entry was entered on October 24th, a year after the last author started. They all seemed to describe the thing to look as though it was some sort of shadowy ghost. It was dark gray with almost no white and absolutely no color. It looked like it was the size and shape of a teenage boy. It was noticeable to have an outline of short hair and masculine facial features with a rather large torso, showing it was strong with broad shoulders. Its waist was thin, and it looked to have been wearing long pants with a dark, long sleeve shirt. The authors would always refer to him as Stephen. They always said that he was stubborn, he was mean, he was violent, he would almost never talk, and more importantly, that he was a demon that disguised himself as a teenage ghost boy. It was always on the 20th day that they said that he turned into a monster with dark gray skin, gnarly teeth that stuck out of its mouth, ripped cloth hanging from its inhuman-shaped body, and bright, yellow, glowing eyes with slits for pupils like that of a cat. Over their 20 days, they all went through the same thing. The first few days, Stephen would just stare. He would just watch the author. The next couple days, he would start to scream whenever they got too close. He would get angrier as the days continued. He would put things places, and if they moved them, he would scream and start to throw things. After about the 10th day, they all went insane. They were all so paranoid. They said that they were only allowed to put in 1 entry per day. After the 15th day, Stephen started to show up less and less, but he would always return on the 20th day, November 12th. It was an interesting book, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It wasn't until I got to one of the entries of the 13th author that I got a bit nervous. November 12th, 2014.
Well, today's my last day. I've caught on to this thing's stupid little game. Stephen is going to be Stephen no longer. Stephen is going to be known as a thing again. You know what? That's what I'm going to call Stephen once he changes. Thing. Thing will come for me. Thing will end me. Thing will take away my existence. I should have listened. I should have listened. I should have listened. I should have listened to the warning I was given. You should have listened to the warning we were all given, but we don't listen. We never listen. You're the victims. We never listen. We never listen. He's here. He's asked me if I'd forgotten about him. Honestly, I wish I could.
That was the end of the book. There were still quite a few blank pages in the back. 20, to be exact. I sighed and shut the book. Immediately, I started sneezing and wheezing as the room filled with dust, clouding my vision and blocking up my sinuses.
Now, it's your turn.
I heard a male voice quietly say from behind me. I spun around to see what looked to be Stephen. This story, it was true. October 24th, 2015. I should have known better than to ignore a warning. Don't read this book.